When you think of sports car racing, there should really only be one true place that comes to mind. While it's changed and evolved over nearly a century of racing, it still holds its character of being a test of man and machine. While we won't be doing the 24 hours of Circuit de la Sarthe, it will still be a challenge for the SCRS Porsche SuperCup drivers here today, and I'm Finny Nakuna, joined by Connor Horn in the booth. For this race, we got 3 races lined up, Connor, and can't wait to see these guys get put on really what is a really interesting track to put on a schedule.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on here. Interesting is not saying enough about it. So many crazy twists and turns from this track. Usually race on it, like you said, for 24 hours, but it's only going to be only 4 laps for this race, and 2 more races after. It's probably going to be pretty crazy. I'm interested to see how spread out this gets early.
Absolutely. I mean, coming back to the track, guys are already outputting their qualifying laps in. Unfortunately, iRacing places you pretty much right before the start-finish straight because it would take pretty much take 4 minutes alone to get your outlap in. So we already got some guys blowing around the track here. You already see some guys down the Mulsanne Straight looking at Drew Eisenman at the moment. Again, I think these drivers really only going to have enough time to set 2 laps in if they're quick enough here. So they got to pretty much get going and get going fast.
Yeah, pretty much everyone's at the same point, going down almost at the end at the long straight. It's interesting to see what the qualifying time is like, because we saw in practice the top 3 guys, Kyle Edwards-Lamb, Sean Unterkoffler, Isaac Snyder, all 3 of those guys are separated by like a 1/10 and a half, and then it was pretty much the rest. Those 3 were way above everyone.
Absolutely. We still got these guys rolling around the lap. It's going to take them another minute or so to get back to this start-finish line. I think they get time to look at some interesting facts about the Circuit de la Sarthe, constructed back in 1923. As I was saying, it has been around for almost a century, coming up on the anniversary for the track. Le Mans, France has, I'm trying to read that number, 300, a population of 300,000 people in the surrounding area. And also got the Circuit de la Sarthe, 33 turns to this track, and that's increased a lot over the century. It never used to be that many, but they've added turns to slow these cars down. 8.47 miles around the track. And interesting fact, the Porsche 935 reached a whopping speed of 228 down the Mulsanne Straight in 1978. And these guys aren't going to be going anywhere near that fast, but it's still going to be pretty fast with these guys flying down through there.
Good thing we won't be seeing any of them backflipping like the Mercedes or whatever that make was in 24 hours. Hopefully they won't be doing backflips.
Yeah, well, I mean, considering the way iRacing physics have been, we could definitely see some of these guys do backflips there. But relatively cool day, as you saw there with the weather at the moment. We got some guys. Ryan Daner, notably, if I'm not mistaken, a new entry to this series. I don't think was here last week, and notably ran in the SCCA. Washington region SCCA, their GT3 championship, so he's come here to run with the Porsche 911s in the SCRS championship, and he's going to come across the line to start the lap. And in some ways this track seems fairly straightforward, but there's something about, I think, really, what do you think is really the tough part about Le Mans?
I wouldn't be able to know from my experience. There's so many turns to choose from, about 33. I think the last sectors of the track, the winding S's and all that, after you get off the long straight with the chicanes, I think that's where you really need to set a lot of good corners in to get the perfect time. I think that's where it really comes up. And
that's really the Porsche curves, the Corvette curves, if I'm pretty sure that's what they're called as well, and also then finally the Ford chicanes, and this really slow complex of corners at the end of the lap. And this is where you can see a lot of incidents, especially in the opening laps, but I think by the time we get back to the start-finish line to complete lap 1, these guys should be pretty spread out. But we also, again, we have to talk about, when we come to Le Mans, talking about the Mulsanne Straight. Obviously, it's not completely straight anymore because that would cause a lot of incidents down by Mulsanne Corner, but now they've implemented over the last, I want to say, 20, 30, 40 years, 30 years more like it, they've put chicanes here to slow these guys down through. You can see a driver coming on through, I believe that's Ryan Daner, working through there to slow these guys down. It's a bit tricky heading through these chicanes, but then we also have the blast down to the to Mulsanne Corner. And this is also, we've seen quite a few nasty incidents here in the 24-hour Le Mans, because these guys get heavy braking zones, which really characterizes a lot of the track.
This is a big point of the track. I expect to see a little bit of beating and banging, because it's hard to, not run into each and every one of these drivers. It's really hard to go too wide into one of these corners, this corner specifically. I expect to see a lot of problems when they get in there for the first time.
Absolutely. We're going to see who's really leading this kind of field of drivers down. I believe it's Drew Lipke. No, Lipke.
Ooh, they're having trouble even qualifying. Mick Blue crashed, I believe.
Yeah, he just actually reset. We'll try to get a look and see what happened to him. I think this is heading down into one of the chicanes. The second chicane who just timed the turn way too early, slammed into the Armco and gave up his lap. And that's really frustrating again because he's actually not even going to have enough time. He's working through the four chicanes now. He's not going to have enough time to roll back, but again, just a little bit more practice, I think, for him to get in before we start this race.
Yeah, he didn't really do well under heavy braking there. Seemed like he needs a bit more brake bias. I don't know if he turned in too early. It just looked like his car just came around the back of his car. So they're going to have to get the brake bias tuned in there.
Also, a notable new driver, Kyle Edwards-Lamb, in the 42 machine. And he's a new driver here with Project 2, apparently, paint scheme in that car. I'm interested in seeing how he's going to perform because in practice is looking pretty quick. And we've seen some drivers recently join this series and putting in some really quick times, if not dominating this series. So we'll see where Edwards-Lamb can end up by the end of this race. Currently looking good for the M race, at least.
And we'll see how he races for these 4 laps, but his times are looking promising. It's all about how... Let's see if he's a clean racer. We'll see what he's about here. We'll see. He might have a lot of pace. He might fall off. He might make a lot of mistakes. We don't know yet.
Heading down to Indianapolis, and then back onto another straight, heading to the Porsche curbs.
Whoa.
Oh, did he hit the tire barrier?
I don't think so, but he got close to it.
Back on board with Edwards-Lamb. Coming through here into this next complex. And this is also a really tricky corner. It doesn't look that bad, but it's really slow out of the corner. You see him just have the tail end slide out. Was able to keep it off the tire barriers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully no one gets ran out wide like that. I remember an incident at Watkins Glen in the NASCAR Cup Series. We saw someone get ran out wide out of that carousel in an absolutely terrible crash. A bit lower speeds in this corner here, so it's got to be careful going too wide through there.
And we're right on board also with Ryan Plord, who's also been doing really well as of late in this series. And we have to, when we're talking about running wide, I think another thing we need to talk about as well is the fact that while there aren't off tracks, a whole lot of off tracks, really until you get into the grass, there's a lot of pavement to work with. You won't get an off track, but you will get a slowdown, and especially in some of these places, notably heading back onto the Mulsanne Straight for the first time. That in Chetra Road, I believe that's how you say the name, I don't know, I believe that's wrong, pardon my French, but you can get a really nasty corner cut if you run too wide or cut a lot of these corners, and that could kill your run down these straightaways, which again, we've talked about it, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, the corner cutting, especially on iRacing, it's really strict at a lot of road courses, and I've been bitten by that a couple of times, road racing. It's definitely not fun whatsoever. It makes you have to be really careful in some of these corners. You almost don't want to even touch any curbs or even come close to the apexes sometimes of how bad the cutting is.
Looking at Isaac Snyder as qualifying just about to wrap up. These guys are going to have enough time to complete their laps, so qualifying will end up here. And Isaac Snyder currently lined up to sit on provisional pole here as the time ticks down to 0. And we get ready to go racing here at Circuit de la Sarthe. Again, a 4-lap race, which again doesn't seem too long, but you have to consider the lap times 4 minutes for these drivers to complete one circuit around here, and that definitely takes a while. And as a driver, do you think that changes their mindset, the fact that there's only 4 laps, or do you think that's not really going to affect them at all?
I don't think it will affect them. I think at the same time, I think it's going to be a bit of a dogfight before they get onto the straight, but I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to try to make up positions in corners where there aren't really passing opportunities. I'm a bit scared to see what happens in some of these turns, but it should be a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll head through your starting lineup here. Starting in first, like Snyder, great qualifying effort for him in the 333, going to be lined up in first. Next to him, Sean Unterkuffler, going to be lined up in second in the 9 machine.
Quick side note, Isaac Snyder and Ryan Plord actually got EOLs. I'm not sure what for, but
oh,
they'll
yes.
be going to the back.
Yes. Eric Mickey told me about this. I completely slipped my mind. There were some drivers that got some penalties from the last few rounds. But going through the rest of the order, we got Kyle Edwards-Lamb lined up in 3rd place in the 42. Then we got Nicholas Morelli lined up in 4th. Drew Lidke going to be lining up in 5th in the 121. Ryan Plourde starting in 6th place.
Implored with the EOL as well. Thomas Cooper is 7th. Andrew Mickey, PA. Drew Eisenman is lined up 9th with a 406.7. A lot of these guys on top of each other. And rounding out the top 10 is Mick Blue, who we saw actually getting an incident there with a 406.9.
Yeah, we got Brian Hotham in the 11th place position, and then Ryan Daner lined up in the 35 in 12th. Eric Brown going to be lined up in 13th in the 56th. Brian Chabelski in the 12th car in 14th. Chris Hudson going to be lining up in 15th, the 43. Benjamin Pagula in 16th. And we got Steve Bunting and Sean Foes rounding out your last round. You can see the drivers taking their EOLs to the back, and again, the reason for that was penalties from the last few weeks, so they'll be dropping to the back of the field. And again, these guys trying to promote some clean racing. You gotta be clean. Otherwise, you're gonna be finding yourself at the back of the pack as you see the 3 guys back there are lined up.
Yeah, definitely not where Snyder wants to be. Literally the front to the back. We'll see how he navigates through the rest of the field here in a short amount of time. I want to see how many positions he makes up by the time we get out of that long straight.
Yeah, and looking at our track conditions, very cool. I believe we're in the morning, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's like 8. It's like 9.
It's the afternoon. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So air temp 64 degrees Fahrenheit, tech temp 66 degrees Fahrenheit. So very cool for these drivers to navigate around that track. They're going to be enjoying all the grip they can have, considering the speed they carry through some of these corners. Especially, we talk about the Porsche curves. This is very much a high downforce section of track. I'm going to be very careful here, especially in traffic and with different guys slowing down. This is another section I think we could see a lot of incidents occur between drivers.
Yeah, it's hard to go one wide in here, let alone even try any passes in this section of the track. If you go wide, you're likely to not keep the car under you. The track might get really, really blocked in a matter of seconds here. It's going to be very exciting.
And the field rolling through what's going to be the final set of corners. The pace car going to pull off on a pit road. Going to get ready to start this race. Again, 4 laps on the board for the AM race. Got 2 25-minute features lined up later after this. Field slowly rolling through the Ford chicane. Pace car making the turn on a pit road. You hear the jets flying overhead as we get ready to go green here at Le Mans.
Oh, they're already wrecking out of the final corner. A couple of guys involved.
And a wreck in the back. We talked about the slow run through the Ford chicanes. Bunch of these guys quite a bit, but the rest of the field okay as they head to the Dunlop chicane for the first time.
It was Chris Hudson who put himself into a gravel trap. Seems like everyone else kept the car straight. Meanwhile, a couple of guys going for dive bombs. A couple of incidents. Hunter Koffler went off the track there.
Yeah, we talk about those cut penalties. You see him giving up a lot of positions. These guys are going through the curves. And the S is here to go back onto the Mulsanne Straight. It's going to be Edwards Lamb that takes the lead of the race. And then we got Nicholas Morelli in second, Drew Lidke in third, as everyone works onto the Mulsanne Straight for the first time.
Pretty much already single filed out. I think Isaac Snyder might have had to slow down as well. And we're going to see a bit of a draft fest here. We'll see if anyone gets a run on Edwards Lamb here. Nicholas Morelli might try to side something up into the first chicane. These 3 a bit separated.
You see these cars pretty much going to get up to their top speed here, over 170 miles an hour, blazing down the straightaway. And then you see Morelli going to peel off. We're talking about that slipstream. Very effective here as they're both going to be side by side. Morelli going to get deep in the brakes. A bit of a lockup, going to make the pass for the lead into the first chicane.
Going to go wide on exit, though, almost over the curve there, but he's able to make the... He's able to make that move work, as we'll see if Edwards Lamb gets any sort of run back onto him. He gets out of a draft for a minute. But these 3, Edwards Lamb, Lidke, and Morelli, already separating themselves from the rest of the pack. Yeah,
and Hunter Koffler, he's going to be shaking his head after starting really well up in second place. Was leading through the first few corners, made that big mistake into the Dunlop chicane and back and forth. And as you're seeing, I think even more keenly has lost the draft, potentially from the leaders. He's going to have to try to make that back up on the track.
Yeah, he's going to have a tough time getting all the way back up there, as we see. A big crash out of a second chicane. Eisenman's in it. And a couple others involved. Plourde cut the chicane. Big instant there.
And we'll see here with Eisenman spun around. Believe that might have started with him. Falls back to 17th place. Here he was side by side with the purple car. I'm not sure who that was. I want to say that was Eric Brown. No, that was not. Makes contact there. Around goes Eisenman and a pile up. Ooh, almost went up and over. That was Thomas Cooper in that car that hit Eisenman. Around both those guys went. Ooh, and another car. Sean Foe struggling out of Mulsanne corner to get the power down. You can't slam on the throttle out of there. You have to be a little bit patient. But going back up to our leaders, this 3-car breakaway for the top 3 positions. These guys pretty much in a battle of their own for what I can imagine is the rest of the race.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else is really gonna have a chance of getting back up to these guys unless they somehow mess up trying to pass each
Hunter
other.
Kuffler struggling this lap. I was gonna say he dropped back to 7th while we were looking at that replay.
Edwards Lamb at the same time. He just went wide. Edwards Lamb just lost the lead.
Oh, and for Project 2, after looking like they were gonna have a great race, both of their drivers making big mistakes in the later part of the lap.
Edwards Lamb was lucky he didn't go into the tire barriers there. He was able to lock it up, but all his time's gone, and now it's a 2-car race. Yeah, we're talking about this being a difficult corner. Did a great job saving the car. I was actually amazed that he was able to hold on and not hit the tire barriers, but oh, he's going to go wide. Tires hot in that car, and he's going to be wide in the Porsche chicane. Oh. Bit of an unsafe rejoy, but they sorted it out. Mickey gets by for, I think that is 3rd now. Edwards Lamb's going to settle all the way back to 4th, right in front of Mick Blue.
Heading through this complex of corners, back, left, and left again. These guys are going to get dizzy here with all the switchbacks. These guys have to navigate really tricky section of track. Got to point the car exactly in the right direction. But we're finally going to complete lap 1 as Nicholas Morelli looking to be the leader at the end of the lap. But it's pretty much going to be a brawl between himself and Liedtke because they separated themselves quite a bit from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, Liedtke's going to have to really try to get close to him coming onto the long straight to get a bit of a draft into the first chicane. But yeah, it's pretty much down to those 2 already as Mickey's gotten the 3rd, Edwards Lamb trying to get back onto the podium, and Mick Blue's dropping back. It's already sort of spread out other than a couple positions.
Riding off the back of Andrew Mickey, trying to hold Edwards Lamb at bay. You can see that 42 machine all over the back of Andrew Mickey trying to get that spot as we head through the S's. This is a bit of a tough place to pass because there's not really much room. If you go a little bit too wide, you're going to go flying off the track.
Yeah, I think his best option is just to wait for to get on to the power, get onto the long straight and try to hopefully clear him into the first chicane and not have to worry about going side by side through there. We'll see what type of run he gets here.
Yeah, riding on board with the 42 machine now. Again, he's got all the slipstream to work with here. He's got no one in behind to defend from. And looking at the speed difference of these guys, already 3 to 4 miles an hour difference as he gets a really good run. This should pretty much be textbook as he pulls out wide.
If he's going to get to him, I don't think he's going to clear him before the chicane. We'll see if Mickey gives him the spot into the chicane or did it go side by side. He tries to hang in there, can't do it. Give the spot back to Edwards Lamb.
And great pass for Edwards Lamb. Meanwhile, looking at Hunter Kuffler, who's been really struggling this races after recovering from a spin in Indianapolis, find himself all the way back in 17th after starting. Actually, just made a pass for 16, but after starting up in 2nd, I can't imagine he's gonna be too happy with himself.
Yeah, he's been all over the map this race. Unfortunate that all that had to happen, but it's pretty much just he's got to do. The only thing he's able to do right now is just to salvage what he can. Back
up for the battle for 3rd. We're starting to heat up just a little bit as Mickey was getting a great run on Lamb. Wasn't able to get it done by the time they got to the chicane. And then we got Mick Blue. This is also a really good run for Mick Blue. Last few weeks have not particularly been a good run for the 96. Had a big incident at Monza that cost him, got him a penalty. And not a great run at Zandvoort either. So really solid run after starting in 10th all the way up into 5th place.
He's made some nice spots into the top 5. Good run so far for him. We'll see if he can make any more spots up. He's a bit off of Edwards Lamb and Mickey right now, but he might be able to make something work.
Got a pretty poor exit out of Mulsanne corner. Gonna cost him a bit of a run down the straightaway. And speaking of the runs, as we ride on board with Liedtke, what do you do if you're in his position? Do you just sit in behind Morelli and just wait till the last lap, which is really only in 2 laps time? But do you wait for that, or do you want to make the move early on?
I think I'd wait for the last lap, but I wouldn't wait until the final corner. Obviously, I think I'd wait to get a big draft up, onto the long straight. I think he's got to wait until then, and then hopefully clear him by far once you're done with that straight, and hopefully he doesn't have a chance back at him.
See some packs forming up on one another. Looks like Lamb's just about a breakaway from Andrew Mickey, Mick Blue, and Brian Hotham in the 13 car. Another new driver to the series. For him, he started in 11th, up into 6th place, so having a really good run at the moment.
And another guy who's having a good run, Benjamin Pegula, he started 16th. He's all the way up to 7th in that machine, so he's having a really good charge through the field right now. He was all over Hoffman for a minute.
Taking a look at these guys heading through the Porsche curves. Got to be very careful through this section. We saw a few guys go wide with cold tires on lap 1. For the most part, looks like everyone's going to make it on through. Nope, that's the wrong corner, Finian. There we go. Heading onto the back part of the lap as well. And are we surprised that we haven't seen more carnage, or do you think we've seen pretty much about what we expected?
There was a couple incidents here and there. And then they spread out for the most part. I think that's about what I expected, but I still gotta... I guess we're halfway. We still got half the race to go.
Big lockup by... I think that might have been Brian Hotham, yeah. You can see he's actually taking the pit entry road there because he's gone wide after missing the braking point for the Ford chicanes. Let's ride on board and see what happened to the 13 car.
Yeah, a couple other people had slowdowns there. A lot of people missed that corner.
Oh yeah, way too hard on the brakes, mounted over the curbs, and ooh, got some tire barrier as well, trying to slow the car down. Well, it's looking like a really good run. Is not particularly looking good. He's back in 12th, not too terribly bad. Still has a chance to make up some spots before the race is over.
Yeah, he actually got a lot of damage from the tire barrier, surprisingly. The right front tire is way, very exposed.
It looked looking a lot worse here from the outside of the car, so hopefully he can deal with it and it's not going to be affecting the car too much. Again, he's only got to really limp it home for 2 more laps, but it's going to be a long 2 laps figuratively and literally.
Yeah, with a mistake like that, he will have a long time to think in these next 8 minutes or so.
At our leaders here, and this is an interesting bit. Morelli actually looking to be breaking away from Lidke. The gap expanded to almost a second. Lidke is still within the draft, but is starting to lose it more and more.
Looked like he really sent it into that chicane there. He's barely hanging on to him. I don't think he has what it takes to pass. I don't think he has what it takes to pass Morelli without a mistake out of Nicholas.
Here we go. Here we got a race for position. Benjamin Pegula makes a move through Mick Blue, move himself up into 4th place. I want to take a look at that pass because there's saw quite a shoot up in the order for Pegula. He's side by side with Mick Blue here, and we've seen a lot of these passes heading to the first chicane. The guy to the right being a little bit braver on the brakes and just able to sneak on through.
It just barely cleared him. It was actually Mick Blue who was brave on the brakes. He tried to stay with Pegula as he's actually coming into a second chicane. He's actually going to outbrake Pegula this time, so Mick Blue gets the spot right back.
Oh, I thought he would have had it in there a little bit too deep. Was able to slow the car down enough. Pegula got a very poor run through the second chicane, and now is going to be fighting with Mickey. And also you see Brian Chabelski, haven't mentioned him this race so far, also trying to have a taste of this battle.
Yeah, Blue and Pegula racing side by side pretty much stacked the rest of the guys up as these two are all over Pegula all of a sudden into a heavy braking zone coming up as they single file out.
And here's Chabelski back off the throttle before getting onto the brakes just to avoid hitting one another.
Whoa.
Man,
They both slid it through there.
And Andrew Mickey got really close to hitting the back of Pegula, and actually Pegula gonna get some dirt, and he's gonna drop back some spots now. Here comes Ryan Plord, and if I'm not mistaken, Ryan Plord was one of those drivers that got a EOL penalty, so started from the back, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, if he could get up all the way to 4th, that'd be an amazing run. Unfortunately, yeah, a couple other guys, the other guy, Snyder, who got the EOL, is I think right behind him, so they're both making great progress.
And Snyder's shown some really good pace looking at him. But just has not had the consistency this season so far. Otherwise, I really think he could have been leading the M Championship. You see Benjamin Pegula get bullied out of position in through Indianapolis.
Oh, sorry. Meanwhile, we got a battle for the lead. I don't know if Morelli made a mistake, but he's getting passed by Drew Lidke.
Yeah, and Lidke gonna get on by. You'll see Edwards Lamb also just barely in behind these guys. He's not quite let go here. Take a look at that. This is the run out of the Indianapolis complex. Oh, yeah. This is a case going wide, I think, for him. Oh, that was the wrong driver.
I don't know what happened. Morelli just kind of got caught. I guess I was wrong.
Actually, just seemed, yeah, pretty much that. Just got caught up by Drew Lidke, who's having a really good run here. Working through the last few corners, but again, 42, he's caught up. He's actually within draft draft distance to Morelli, so he could be a factor here, if not for the win, for at least second place.
He's really catching them in these last couple of corners. I think he's definitely going to be a factor for the win. It's going to be down to these three. Without those mistakes, he might have been gone already, but he's got one lap to make it happen.
Yeah, and well, again, very much within draft range too. Like, you're gonna have to worry about two drivers there. You can see the flash of the lights from Edwards Lamb, letting them know that he is there to fight for the win. You see Lidke be very conservative into the Dunlop chicane. Morelli gonna almost cut the corner. I think that might have been as he tries to get side by side. Here we go.
Yeah, and he was able to stay on the left side. He hasn't lifted yet for any slowdowns. He might be able to get away with it, but Edwards Lamb is there now. I think Edwards Lamb has got him right where he wants him. Morelli goes back to the lead.
The run down to the entrance to the Mulsanne Straight here for the final time of this race. This is a big corner. You have to make sure you don't go too wide. You see Lidke having to get off the gas to make sure he didn't get that cut. That's allowed Lamb to get a great run down the straightaway.
Yeah, and with those set of corners, Morelli got right away from these two, and these two are going to be side by side now. I think Morelli, if he makes a mistake, if he doesn't make a mistake, I don't know how they're going to catch him if they're going to be side by side like this.
It looks like Lamb's able to use the draft off of Morelli to slingshot past Lidke. Indeed, will come back across the 121 and clear second place.
And now he's got his work cut out to get all the way back to Morelli. He's not going to have the best draft up to him, but he's going to have to make it happen in the final set of corners.
And he's got a few straightaways to work at. And again, there's the run down to Indianapolis. That's another straightaway to work with as well. He's just got to remain within a decent distance to get that slipstream off of Morelli. I think he can be pretty fast. We saw him flying through the Ford chicanes the last lap through to catch these guys, and he's definitely got a lot of speed through that section.
Yeah, it's going to be all about how... Let's see if he can outbrake Morelli into this chicane. He gains a lot on him here. Uses the curb as much as he can. He looks... Oh, he's going to get loose, though. He's going to spin.
No, and Lidke going to punt him around as well as he tries to avoid contact. And just like that, our two of our three contenders for the win out of contention as Lamb gets up to speed as the rest of the pack forming on through there. You see Andrew Mickey's been able to take the lead of this group of drivers. We'll keep an eye on these guys here as the race is coming to an end.
They're going to they might have a shot at Edwards Lamb. I think if Lamb just gets going here, he'll be able to stay ahead of him. But they're side by side anyway.
Oh.
It's Blue going for the spot here.
Oh, I thought Blue was going to make it 3 wide into Mulsanne corner. That's not going to work.
No, it's not. They're still side by side, almost 2 by 2 into that corner. Mick Blue's going to clear for the position. Almost contact between Mickey and Plord.
And Plord not able to get a good run off, got choked with the momentum off the corner. You have to try to build that back up with some slipstream. It actually looks like Snyder has forced the issue. He's gone side by side with Plord.
Yeah, Mickey's got the run. He's going to go to the right side of Mick Blue as they're going to be side by side now. Now it's actually 2 by 2 down the straight. Where's everyone going to go? Snyder's going to go 3.
Oh, this is not going to work. 3 wide. I know the corner's called Indianapolis, but that doesn't mean you can go 3 wide. Mickey gets punted around, and who else is going to get involved? It's Snyder involved as well. And the luck is going to continue to go worse with a 333. And gets the car turned back around in the right direction, but man, he cannot catch a break.
Contact. Plord and Mickey got together again. They're both in the gravel trap.
This is back live with these guys, and man, absolute chaos unfolding. Now we'll take a look at the end of the race here. We'll try to keep up to date with what's going on. It's just all going down. Now we see Shabelski and Chris Hudson. These guys have appeared in a battle for 5th place with all the shenanigans we saw earlier on. And I haven't mentioned Chris Hudson, another pretty fast driver, has moved up into 5th place. Going to try to hold that off from Shabelski, but Morelli up in front as he's approaching the Ford chicanes. What a drive for the 095.
Yeah, he got past for the lead, but he was able to get something out of there. He made a great move into the first left-hander there, and he was able to hold on for the win. And after those second and third wreck, he was able to cruise and have a little bit of free time to himself.
See the checkered flag waving as he works through the Ford chicanes. It'll be Nicholas Morelli that will win the AM Cup race here at Le Mans. He comes across the line. Drew Lidke gonna have to settle for 2nd place. It was a good attempt. Same thing with Edwards Lamb. Made up some time, but wasn't enough there. And they gotta wait a little bit. There's Mick Blue. Just barely gonna make it to the line ahead of Chris Hudson. Then Shabelski. Around those guys, Benjamin Pagula, Isaac Snyder, John Unterkuffler. And man, Unterkuffler could have definitely been a factor if he had a better finish. And Ryan Daner, I believe, is gonna round out your top 10 in the AM Cup race. And we'll take a look. We'll quickly try to go back and see what the shenanigans we saw down into Indianapolis, because oh boy.
Yeah, 4-minute laps. You have a lot of time to make something happen, and way too many things happened there. There's a lot to unpack out of those 2 or 3 corners.
As I was saying earlier, again, the corner skull Indianapolis does not mean you can go 3 wide, and we saw these guys try 3 wide. See Andrew Mickey get punted out. Isaac Snyder went into the wall, and then we missed the second part of this, where this started. This is with Ryan Plord in the 74 machine, goes side by side with Mickey. Oh, and Mickey just kind of drifted into Plord, and they both went flying off into the gravel.
Yeah, it was actually a good thing Mick Blue overshot the corner, because he might have gotten killed by... He might have gotten killed by Mickey there if he wasn't careful. And Mickey almost got pinned in the terrible spot right up beside the tire barrier. He was almost trapped, but he was able to get it going. He somehow still got 12th.
Right on board with Mick Blue, what he saw from his car. Ended up hitting the 86 of Mickey. He wasn't able to get slowed down in time. You can see the damage he got to his car. And behind him, Mickey and Plurd side by side, and then they end up making contact down the straight. Whoa! I think he probably saw that. I would imagine he probably saw that in his mirror and decided to go wide. Either that or he's really lucky.
He was definitely lucky to get away with a minimal damage. He caused a bit of a wreck, and he was able to avoid another, and he still came away with P4. We'll see. I think it might stand. I'm not quite sure.
Take a look quickly here at our finishing results for the M Cup race. Again, Nicholas Morelli winning his first race of the season. Drew Lidke in second. Edwards Lamb rounding out your podium. Really solid finishes for those drivers. And moving on back to the second half of the grid, Ryan Bloor going to be disappointed probably with an 11th place finish. For him, was really looking solid, same thing with Engine Mickey, but you know, that's how it all goes south. Didn't think we would see last lap action at Le Mans, but I guess considering how short the races are, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise.
Yeah, I guess we should have been expecting it. There's like I said, 4 minutes, anything can happen, I suppose, and pretty much everything happened on that last lap, so very exciting. We got a couple races to go.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was the M Cup race out of the books. Don't go anywhere because we got the Super Cup races, both race 1 and race 2 coming up shortly. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
My father's father had two brothers and a sister. His older sister, Hazel, had married a man named Jim Yunker, and he was involved in the bottling business early on, as early as 1906 in Indianapolis, and he sold flavors. He would have had grape, cream soda, blood orange, ginger ale. In 1915, he got the franchise for Coca-Cola in Indianapolis. So then we fast forward 20 years later to 1935, Jim Yunker approached my grandfather and his two brothers and said the franchises in Kokomo, Logansport, and Peru are available for sale, and you guys want this. Trust me, you want to get in the Coca-Cola business.
Jesus.
And we're back here live for start of qualifying for race number 1 here for the Porsche Super Cup. These drivers in a few minutes time will be able to get back on the track and start their qualifying effort for the first of the 2 main events here. Combined now with the pro field and the notable names of the series, guys like Carter Cunningham, Eric Mickey as well in the mix. Zach Buchanan, who actually have just gotten word that he actually lagged out. So hopefully he can get back in time to at least get a solid qualifying effort in. But yeah, really looking forward, especially after seeing what happened in race 1, or sorry, in the AM Cup race. Really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in both the Super Cup race now with a bigger field.
Yeah, bigger field. In my opinion, we're likely to see more chaos in the first couple of corners, and especially in the first chicane. And there might even be more last lap drama with a bit of a longer race for more tension to build up. So it might even get more crazy somehow.
Absolutely here, and just kind of looking at the board, the timesheets at the moment, and just still practice here, but notably Carter Cunningham up on the top of the boards, which is a bit interesting because there might be a penalty heading his way. by the start of race 1. There was a penalty for him last week. He has protested that penalty. We aren't sure if that was able to get reviewed in time, or if the vote still stands for him receiving a penalty. So we'll have to see here. Carter Cunningham currently fastest on the timesheets with a 4-minute 2.56, which I think is almost a second better than what we saw from the guys in the Am Cup race, if I'm not mistaken.
It's another thing with this is a lot of the big drivers in this one. We're gonna see more faster times for sure. We might even see we're gonna see an even bigger spread throughout the pack, or it might be a bit more bunched up at the front at least.
Here's Ryan Daner, and again, I said was a driver from the Washington, D.C. region GT3 series that they recently ran on SimTV. Right in that series, Ryan and Colin Daner, both of them had shenanigans with their helmets where they've been keeping that up. Another interesting helmet, if I could find the right... There we go. And that beautiful beautiful helmet for Ryan Daner.
That's one word for it.
I think he didn't want to wait for iRacing to add avatars. Decided to put
there's a wall there.
Put his face on the. I'm not sure that's his face or not, but put a face on the helmet. But yeah, hit the arm. Hopefully, he doesn't do that in qualifying here. That'll begin shortly.
Yeah, it's a face. It's definitely a face. That's for sure.
All right, and quickly with the start of the session, just gonna cut to commercial break for about 5 seconds to adjust something. We'll be right back. Alright, we're back here live as qualifying is going to begin, and we got these guys off rolling and away to start their laps. So definitely a driver going to keep track of, as Drew Lidke had some pretty solid pace out of the AM drivers. We'll see where he qualifies here for the first SuperCup race, but did pretty well, all things considered. And one driver I also want to keep my eye on, too, that we didn't really get a chance to see his true potential, is Sean Unterkuffer. Made quite a few mistakes, arguably way too many mistakes in the first lap that just obliterated any chance he had a solid finish, but guy has a new lease on life with 2 more races.
It's going to be interesting to see what he can do in these next couple of races. He's really got to make some inroads on a lot of these guys. He has to pull something out of his hat here. We'll see what he can do. It all starts with the qualifying lap, though.
Yeah, it's on the lap time there that he ran a 39-second lap as he's coming to the line. Can you imagine a 39-second lap around here? That's gotta be insane.
Sounds like a Jimmy Broadbent video or something.
Yeah, you probably have to head down Mulsanne at like 400 miles an hour or something just to keep up with that. That's stupidly fast.
You need like a cart with, I don't know, like 50,000 RPM or something.
Probably.
Horsepower.
You're a rocket ship.
Too much downforce. You basically need to not be able to lift the car up. It'll definitely be a beautiful car. If it even is a car, I doubt it would be. Yeah,
you definitely not need a car. You also can't really I don't think you would be able to have a human drive it. The G-force would be too much. But notably, as we ride on board with Zach Buchanan, he's able to get back to the server and roll off for qualifying. So hopefully should be able to get a solid lap in. Again, the key thing is going to be to not make a mistake, because especially you can imagine, too, as a driver, how frustrating is it, especially with some tracks with a longer lap, how frustrating is it to get a 1X near the end of the lap?
Near the end of a lap, it kind of breaks your heart inside, because you don't even have time to really focus back in to get the next lap going. You kind of just, it throws you off. It throws you off for that lap, obviously, and it just kind of ruins your mood going into the next lap, and you start making a bunch of mistakes that you shouldn't be doing for the next lap. It just really throws you off.
Well, most of the drivers still working down the Mulsanne Straight for their first lap. Drew Lidke, the highest of those drivers, down into Mulsanne corner. I don't think we really saw any chaos heading through there. Well, as they say that Lidke gonna go off into the track. He's got to reset to do another qualifying lap. Actually, he's gonna continue to go.
Yeah, I think the only craziness we saw into that corner, they went 2x2 on the final lap, I believe, and that's where all the craziness started in that little mid-pack that we saw. But other than that, it was pretty calm going through there.
Indianapolis was really the big question for a lot of drivers, seeing quite a few incidents down here on the opening lap. I think just due to cold tires, there's a very awkward braking zone Get the brake. There you see Lidke come into frame. You got a brake, and while you're also turning right and then slow down to a banked left-hand corner. It's a very tricky section to navigate correctly, and we saw quite a few guys on the first and last lap get into some trouble.
Yeah, it's really awkward because you don't want to hit the brakes too hard because you might end up spinning yourself out and you might hit the right side. And if you obviously don't, if you somehow overcorrect it, you're going into a tire barrier on that side. It's a very precise corner, very difficult to get it perfect. Well, when you do get it perfect, it's really satisfying.
Looking on board with Chris Hudson, had a pretty solid finish. Came out of pretty much nowhere in the later stages of the AM Cup race to finish in the top 5. See if he can continue that success into Le Mans here. And for the Super Cup race, did pretty well at Monza, and also decently well at Zandvoort, but still interested in seeing if he's able to keep up the pace throughout the entire season, especially with drivers he's competing with, guys like Sean Unterkuffler and also Kyle Edwards-Lamb. Curious to see if he's going to, maybe if he can show some really solid pace, be promoted from AM to Pro, because we've seen that with James Walker as he's actually coming to the front straight away now to complete his time. Notably, last week he showed up at Zandvoort, dominated the field, finished first and then second in the last race, wasn't able to sweep the week, but did really phenomenally well, and expect to see him also go pretty quick here as the first few drivers have completed their laps.
See, for now it's Unterkoffler. He went to the top of the board, a 4:03.6, a bit slower than what we saw in practice. So I expect someone to come through and probably beat that time as long as they keep their nose clean.
Yeah, as long as they keep the nose clean and start the lap within the next 40 seconds or so. Zach Buchanan, we were talking about him barely, not barely making it in, had a bit of time, but a bit worried there that we wouldn't make it in. Gonna be lined up in second place at the moment. It's Project 2. Actually, Project 2. I was just about to say they're 1, 2, 3. They're now 2, 3, 4. As Eric Mickey jumps up to the top spot.
Yeah, solid lap by him, a 4:03 flat. But I think there's still some time to be found. We'll see the next couple of rounds, next couple of people to cross the line. We'll see what they can do. People are leaving time out there right now.
And it looks like Mickey, he's going to be satisfied with that lap. He's not going to continue on to start another. He's not going to have enough time to start another lap. So imagine he's going to be content with that. If not, it's going to have to stay in. As I say, though, his teammate Kurt Crum, he jumps to the top spot.
A 4:02.8, the first 4 in the qualifying session, 0.2 clear of Eric Mickey. It's I don't know if that's going to be beat. There's still time to be found, but I don't know if there's enough time to find it. I think he's looking good for at least a front row spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be able to make it back around in time. Might miss it by a few minutes, but we'll continue to trudge on. But currently at the moment in the top spots, first and second, it's Bombshell Motorsports, then third, fourth, fifth, Project 2. So 2 teams occupying the top 5 positions of the order. Then we got Chris Hudson sitting back in 6th place with his 4-minute 5. And obviously we expect to see some pretty big discrepancy in the laps, because obviously it's a 4-minute lap time. There's a lot of time to be lost and a lot of time to be gained. And actually, speaking of that, speaking on that point, have a look at this. This is absolutely astounding. We've seen guys run the same laps at other tracks, but it's really rare to see it at a track like Le Mans.
I just noticed that. Wow.
Yeah, for Morelli, 4-minute 5.344. For Brian Plord, 4-minute 5.344.
Yeah, you might not see that again for a while. That's pretty insane.
This is the once-in-a-lifetime thing. So again, there's just so much discrepancy. The more time you have on the table, lose a few tenths, a few thousandths here and there, but they somehow manage to get equal times.
Yeah, I think the more impressive, I think the only other tracks that would be more impressive would probably be at the Nordschleife or something like that.
That's pretty much it as far as modern tracks are concerned. You can't really go much longer anywhere else than Le Mans or the Nürburgring.
Maybe if they could run the old Spa circuit, maybe it'd come close.
It looks like, from the looks of it, Zach McCann, he's given up. He's satisfied with his lap. We talked about it with Eric Mickey. He's also ended his qualifying run. Sean Unterkuffler, Edwards Lamb, and Kurt Crum still making it back to the line to see if they can improve. We expect Unterkuffler and Edwards to make it back in time, but we'll have to see. There should be enough time to make it where Unterkuffler is through the Porsche curves. Should have enough time in 2 minutes to make it back.
Watching Isaac Snyder come to the line, I think this will be his only lap, and he puts down a 4:02.9, just not quite enough to get the pole, but he puts himself on the front row.
Yeah, this has been the story of this car all season long. He's had the speed, is not really the consistency or the luck, as we saw in the last race. So he's just been struggling to get the finishes in, but at least starting off on the right foot with a really solid qualifying effort in his second place.
He was able to do really good there. James Walker coming through the final corners. He looked like he went slowly through there, and I think he might have gotten a slow down there or something. And he just parks it, comes up to the line. Probably not going to count. Yep. And so he's going to have some work to do, obviously. I think the next one to come around is Chris Hudson.
Chris Hudson. He's in the 43 across the line for Chris Hudson. Gonna be 4-minute 4.7. That can move him up to. Actually, that didn't count because that was a invalidated because he went off the track.
One lap that counted. Sean Unterkoffler. He was able to knock Isaac Snyder from the front row. He beat Isaac Snyder by 6/1000ths of a second. A 4:02.973 puts him P2.
Yeah, that is absolutely absurd. The gap between these two. Oh man, guys, failing to disappoint. Qualifying just about to wrap up here. I think.
Couple guys coming around. I don't know if Eric Brown or Kirk Crum are on laps still, but they're coming around for another. I doubt Kirk Crum needs to put down another lap, but Eric Brown coming of a line here. See if this one will count. It will. It's only a 4:08 flat. And Kirk Crum, I guess there was a need to put another lap down because he gained 3 more tenths. A 4:02.517.
Wow, how about that? We're going to be ahead of Unterkoffler by almost 0.5 of a second. That is a really solid amount of pace, and Kirk Crum, if I'm not mistaken, is also leading the point standings. Indeed, he is. He's leading it over Zach Buchanan by quite a few points. Again, we still have drop races to account for, but in the grand scheme of things, you can have consistently good weekends, you're still going to end up the champion. That's, I think, what Kirk Crum's going to try to get done. That kind of bit him in the butt in the Ferrari Challenge series. Just wasn't got too many penalties and wasn't consistent enough. He seemed to fix that in at least the Porsche Cup car and doing pretty well as we head down to the grid for your starting lineup. Starting in first is going to be Kirk Crum, obviously your pole sitter, as we were just talking about. Sean Unterkoffler going to have to be settled for his second place. Isaac Snyder in the 333 going to line up coincidentally in third place. In fourth, Eric Mickey in the 88.
Zachary Buchanan, a bit behind Mickey there. A 4:37 puts him P5. Kyle Edwards-Lamb, P6. Drew Lidkia on of an extra with a 4:04.6. Andrew Mickey, P8. And Chris Hudson and Ryan Plord going to round out the top 10.
And then moving on back behind these drivers in 11th place is going to be Nicholas Morelli in the 095. Almost had enough time to make another lap or complete another lap, but it wasn't meant to be. Ryan Danner going to be lining up in 12th place. Benjamin Pagula going to line up in 13th. Nick Blue going to be next to him in 14th place. Ryan Chabelski going to line up behind them in 15th. To complete row 8, it's going to be Eric Brown in 16th.
Then Sean Foes, P17. Carter Cunningham lining up 18th for now, but he will get an EOL. He'll drop back to 22nd. Drew Eisenman moves up as well as James Walker. Thomas Cooper to the third, and Steve Bunting rounds out the rest of the field.
See now, finally, for Carter Cunningham is going to get out and away here after getting a penalty. Graphics skill, turn that off. But getting a penalty from past few weeks, and we were talking about it, so it doesn't look like the decision was overturned. He didn't even bother to put a qualifying time in. I think that's gonna.
What the? Someone just hit the barrier.
Uh-oh. Who was it?
Daner. Daner kind of clipped the barrier there. I don't know what that was.
Oh yeah, I saw a bit of that. Here's another look. Back to this view.
We're starting early.
Ooh.
Not sure how much damage it did.
It didn't seem to be too terribly bad. I'm right on board with. Oh, from that view, it looks a lot worse. See the hood all crinkled up.
Trying to see. It doesn't look the worst, but it's not good to get into it before you even start the race. Hopefully his race goes a bit better. We'll come into the green soon. Yeah,
and the jets, you can hear them flying overhead. Just realized also didn't have any engine audio. Glad I noticed that before we went green here. That would have been awkward.
I wish I could have heard it. I would have said something.
Well, fixed it in time, at least for race number 1 here, as the field rolling through the final straightaway down to the forward chicanes. The pace car gonna turn off the pit road. We saw an incident here in the AM Cup race. Interested in seeing these guys can get it sorted out for this race because we got more cars on the track. Gotta be careful. It's very tempting to get on the gas early. Pace car gonna peel off. And into the control, the field will go to Kurt Crum coming out of the final corner. Green flag here at Le Mans.
Oh, they're wrecking already. Mick Blue's turned around. Same thing that happened in the last race, and he's gonna get piled in by Sean Foes. The rest of the field, I think, gets through.
It's everyone else scrambling down to the Dunlop chicane. With Kurt Crum leading the way, mostly single file out, and behind them, he's going to get deep on the brakes. And oh, I think he almost made the same mistake that Hunter Kuffler did. Barely slow the car down in time.
And he stacked pretty much everyone else up. Now they're side by side for the third spot. Isaac Snyder and Eric Mickey side by side for that. I think Snyder might have the upper hand, but Mickey tries to stay around the right side. He's able to make it work. He gets the spot right back.
Gonna force the issue. Is gonna pay off for Mickey to defend that spot, and Zach Buchanan gonna take advantage as well. And like that, gonna have Snyder bullied out of position and back into 5th place.
Yeah, and Kurt Crum did a great job on that.
Oh, Hunter Kuffler had another incident. He got a cut course. We were talking about this, making sure not to get it. Look how many spots he's losing as he finally gets back up to speed in 10th place.
There's a bit of 2x2 there. He's lucky no one really ran into him. Kurt Crum did a good job on the start. He was able to pretty much clear himself from the rest of the field, as was Eric Mickey. Pretty much 3rd place on back, pretty stacked up. I think that was Snyder. No, that was Buchanan who went for the dive there.
Whew. Wow, fantastic dive from Buchanan. Jumps over the curbs and slides in front of Isaac Snyder. Will hold on to that spot. Now it's just a matter of chasing down the leaders. He doesn't want to let Eric and Kurt Crum get away with this and lead the Bombshell guys to an early lead.
It was Isaac Snyder. He's getting caught by Kyle Edwards-Lamb here as they're going to go probably side by side into the next chicane here.
Gotta imagine that teammates are going to be your ally here to work with, as he's having a guy to defend and not pass you constantly down the straightaway. Looking at Edwards-Lamb, he's going to back off, let Snyder take the spot. I see these guys still side by side here through the 2nd chicane.
Yeah, Chris Hudson, Ryan Plord kind of got stacked up there, but they single file out of there.
Kurt Crum with a penalty. He's going to drop down the order.
Oh, man, everyone's just making the simplest of mistakes, and it cost him so much time as that lead he had is pretty much gone. It's actually completely gone.
Yeah, back into 5th place, and now that's allowed Zach Buchanan to just now chase down Eric Mickey, who's our new leader, into Mulsanne corner.
See what Kurt Crum does. Now he's back to 5th. We'll see what he can do in these next couple of laps, next couple of corners. He's gonna have to make some really good time here, as we see down this straight here. Pretty much everyone's single file.
Field racing by the camera here. You can still see some side-by-side. Benjamin Pagula getting out a little bit wide. Run down to Indianapolis. This is going to be really tough. Again, awkward braking zone, especially on cold tires. We'll see. Do we see some carnage here this time by?
I hope not, but they're trying to go side by side back there. A couple of rows back. Looks like they got through so far.
And there's a battle you can see in the background between Edwards-Lamb and Kurt Crum, who's going to get the spot.
There's one spot down. He's got about 3 more to go. Oh, we got a bit of contact out of that left, bit of right-hander. Someone just went really wide. I think it was Ryan Daner maybe. And
Indeed it was.
Thomas Cooper spun out of that corner. He was able to keep it off the barriers, though.
For a little bit of argy-bargy, Daner's going to get back on the track, and our leaders now working through the Porsche curves for the first time. Combined field, and this is a very tricky section. You see these guys flying past the camera at full tilt and side by side as well. Wow, Buchanan got really close to the wall.
That's a bit too close. You definitely don't want to do that. Look how stacked up these guys are behind Kurt Crum all of a sudden. He's got about 4 drivers all on top of each other. Edwards-Lamb, Litkia, Hudson, Mickey, all on top of each other right now as the top 3 try to squirt away.
What's felt like a while, we finally get to the end of lap number 1. That's how long a lap takes at Le Mans. It felt like an eternity, especially for these drivers, but a lot of action still nonetheless. And you see up ahead, Zach Buchanan not letting Eric Mickey out of his sights.
Well, these top 2 get away. Meanwhile, a penalty for Isaac Snyder. He's going to have to stop out of a final corner, so all those spots he's going to give away.
We did not see, we talked about in the AM Cup race, didn't really see a lot of slowdowns, but in the first lap alone in this race, we've seen, what, 3 or 4 instances of slowdowns.
Hey, who are the amateurs here? I don't know anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think almost all of them have been from pro drivers, except for Hunter Kuffler and Snyder for From, and it was also having memory loss here. I think it was just Kirkrum that slowed down on the pro field. Oh.
Sorry, who was it?
No, it was just Kirkrum anyway. Getting off track for me. But Kirkrum, speaking of which, you can see the gap that's formed between himself and Zach Buchanan. The top two have kind of split away. You can also see another trail of cars in behind Andrew Mickey. And what a train indeed.
And meanwhile, the top two, Buchanan's got the run. He's going to go for the lead. Eric Mickey running the middle, making Buchanan choose which line he goes. Buchanan goes to the left side, going to try to stick it around the left side of him. They're going to go side by side into this chicane, but I think Buchanan might clear him. Yes, he does. I think there might be a crossover in order here. Yes, there is. Not quite, though.
Yeah, it's tough to get a crossover out of the chicane, how tight that it is. Will be Buchanan in the lead. Mickey going to try to get the run back. This is what Kirkrum wants. He wants these guys to slow down one another so he can get back in that lead draft and be a contender for the win.
I think he's going to be back in after this chicane if they're still side by side, but I think Mickey's going to get clear of Buchanan here, but Buchanan's going to probably try to send him back up the inside. No, he comes over to single file out. So he might try to dive it in. They gave each other room there, really slowed each other down, and Kirkrum's going to be all over him here.
Yeah, he's pretty much back in the fight. You can see how much he's closed back in. Just by drivers running side by side through the chicane. Also in tow is Edwards Lamb, Lidke, and Chris Hudson, your top 6 in the order. Looking further on down, Hunter Cuffler. Did he get another slowdown? I feel like he did.
Someone did here. Ryan Plord got a slowdown, I believe. He really went off the pace there out of the final chicane on the back.
Oh yeah, you can see him letting Morelli on by for 10th position. Falls through the order after starting in 10th, currently running in 11th, so really hasn't gone too much anywhere.
Whoa, someone went way off.
Isaac Snyder in the 333 going to go wide in Mulsanne.
He was able to keep it off the barriers, though. He did a good job saving it there. He was way out of shape, overcorrected, almost killed his race.
Yeah, but again, from 3rd to 13th, 14th and counting back as he's trying to get back up to speed.
Oh, here we go, side by side for the lead. Mickey's going to get it back, though. They keep swapping, and Kirkrum's just watching him do it.
Yeah, this is you're going to be very careful heading side by side through this section into Indianapolis. And looks like they're going to make it on through. Now I'm curious what Kirkrum, what he's going to do now. He was essentially made up from that mistake and now forget about it and focus the next 4 laps on trying to get the lead back from these two guys. But how do you do it? I mean, obviously these things make the pass on the straightaway, but you know, in this case, we were talking about being the 2nd place guy just sitting in behind. If you're the 3rd place guy, what do you do?
I think when they're side by side for the lead, like he's watching right now, you kind of just have to wait to, hopefully, for those two not to wreck and wait for your chance. You really don't want to go 3 wide like we saw in the last race on the final lap. He's really just got to be patient here while they're battling it out. It's not just Kirkrum that's caught up with these two. Edwards Lamb is there, Lidke is there, Chris Hudson's back there as well. It's still a couple of people who are in contention.
Edwards Lamb, we're talking about him showing some really solid paces. Kind of on par with what we saw out of James Walker. And actually, speaking of James Walker, I don't think started the race.
No, he did not.
Yeah, so he's all the way back in 21st. Not sure what was the story there.
Oh, actually, he did. Not sure what happened to it, but he did start the race.
Oh, okay, interesting. Interesting tale there. What I was going to say is that Walker's a similar position where it just showed up really fast, clearly not an amateur driver. Could see something similar here with Edwards Lamb showing some really solid pace. Talked about him quite a bit. Also, Drew Lidke too. We're talking about keeping an eye on him. He's found his way up into 5th place after starting 7th.
Yeah, a lot of guys from outside the top 10 in the first race earlier were able to find their way up to the top of the boards. But really, a lot of people who start in the top 10 are pretty much staying there. As I think Kirkrum had a Eric Mickey had a slowdown penalty, so he's going to lose a bunch of spots.
Oh, he might lose some more here. Those penalties last an eternity, it seems like, especially as you go through more corners, they just start racking up. Ooh, and he goes a little bit wide again. I think he might have been able to get that cleared out. Oops, sorry about that. Take a look at what happened to him. I did see him go wide out of Dunlop.
I'm not sure if it was the entrance in the turn, the left-hander, or what.
I think it might have been, yeah.
He went over the curb entering, I guess. I don't know. He really pushed the issue coming out of that chicane, I suppose.
Let's see, he took quite a bit. I think it might have been the exit where he bit his luck a little bit too much.
Well, meanwhile, I don't know. I think Edwards Lamb got...
as you go back on board live with Eric Mickey, Lidke spins out in front of him, is on his roof.
Wow, I don't know where that came from.
A very awkward part of the track. Looks like everyone else is able to avoid it. And for Lidke, that's going to be... He's going to have a chance to potentially get back on the track, but it's going to put him way down the order in 19th. Here's a look at what happened to him.
That was out of nowhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. That was completely unexpected. Trying to see what happened to him. Just got loose, got back on the power too early, and just got turned up and over.
It was just a bit awkward there. He kind of got spun, and he just got hit, and it just sent him bouncing up and over.
Hey, what did I say? I said with iRacing physics, we'll probably see a car over, and there it was. Ooh, Andrew, Mickey, and Shabelski.
It's not a backflip,
Oh, wow! Andrew Mickey almost just caused a massive incident as he turned back into the track. I think he and Shabelski had coming together. Into the second chicane. Oh, and actually it was Shabelski and Eisenman that had an incident, and Mickey just looped it around.
Yeah, they wrecked behind him, and yeah, Shabelski kind of just sent it in too far, and at the same time, Mickey just kind of spun it around, and Mickey just, that was a really unsafe rejoin. They won't be happy about that one.
Yeah, well, he's one of the admins, so it'll be a little bit awkward. Oh, as we see Sean Unterkuffler around out of Mulsanne corner.
Okay, the craziness was on the last lap, and now it's just every lap for this one. Everyone, they can't keep the cars on the track all of a sudden. He just got on the gas too hard and looped it out of that corner.
Yeah, and we didn't take a look at the weather because I assumed it would be the same. It pretty much is. It's pretty much exactly as it was for the End Cup race. Just guys, I think, pushing a little bit too hard again with the faster drivers in the field. They might be pushing themselves a little bit too hard and asking the car for too much. And again, this car is hard to drive. It's not easy to. It'll bite you if you push it a little bit too much. And I think that might be what we're seeing here. See Kurt Crum and Zach Buchanan battle for the lead here, heading to the Porsche curves.
Yeah, it's down to these two for now, at least. These guys are, at least these three, Buchanan, Crum, and Kyle Lamb are still there. A bit of a ways back to Chris Hudson, who's back to P4. But I think if Kurt Crum gets the lead and just keeps his car on the track, or at least in the track limits, I think he has a chance to get a decent gap for him.
See Zach Buchanan trying to force the issue a little bit tight out over onto those curbs. You gotta be careful if you run too wide there. You get another cut, not really a cut track. You just get I guess just get really just a penalty for extending track limits. Get into the Ford chicane.
Yeah, about 3 more to go. Edwards Lamb went a bit too wide. He's not gonna have a good run through the final chicane here. He didn't lose too much time, but he lost enough. And Crum and Buchanan are gonna get away a bit here.
Sun sets here. Off France, as it's Kurt Crum up in the lead, trying to defend from Buchanan. We expect to see these guys stick together. Look a little bit further back to Eric Mickey, who had the lead of this race, and he's going to be shaking his head.
See these top like the top 3 are still on top of each other, and there's still at least 5 or 6 drivers within about 4 to 5 seconds who, depending on how many mistakes happen, they can still have a chance at an even better finish. Cunningham, by the way, he's the 1 in 6th. He's all the way up from literally dead last up, almost into the top 5 right
Oh, yeah. I thought that was Chris Hudson, but Chris Hudson's up in 4th place. Cunningham, again, recovering from an EOL, moved and fought his way up the order. He's pretty much started back in 18th, more like 20th for him, but still a great accomplishment nonetheless.
See the battle for the lead hit up here. Buchanan's going to have the run, and Kurt Crum's going to force him right here.
Now them side by side here, heading down to the first chicane. This has been constant battle between both these drivers. I'm sure if they're not sick of each other now, they'll definitely be sick of each other by the end of race 2, as Buchanan takes the lead into the first chicane.
Set it a bit too far. Kurt Crum's going to have a bit of a run on him.
Oh, Edwards Lamb in behind goes way wide out of the corner, and now you can see Chris Hudson's going to work around the outside and easily take the spot.
Edwards Lamb completely missed that corner. He was lucky to not completely ruin his car there. He's able to keep it on track and only lose the 1 spot. But meanwhile, up at the front, Kurt Crum back to the lead just like that.
And peels in behind, going to try to get a run back on Kurt Crum. Going to peel out wide, drag race down to the braking zone.
Buchanan outbrakes him just barely.
What a pass. These guys have been doing an excellent job here on the front. Some great textbook passes through these chicanes. Now the run down to Mulsanne corner.
Sorry, Edwards Lamb missed the second chicane completely. He actually went straight through, went through the tire barriers there.
This is not a good lap, at least down the Mulsanne Straight for Edwards Lamb.
He almost hit Mickey there. I don't know what that was. There's not that much side draft in these cars.
From there on the replay, work through the tire barriers, and then obviously you're saying had a bit of an incident with that is Eric Mickey side by side with. Get on by the 88.
the top two are battling, but it doesn't seem like Chris Hudson's making that much of an inroads on him. These two are kind of just pulling away.
A little bit of an update of some guys further down the order. They see Ryan Plord having a pretty good race for himself, up in 7th place after starting in 10th. Behind them, Nicholas Morelli and Isaac Snyder, and obviously Morelli, our last race, the Am Cup race winner. Fighting with Isaac Snyder, he's trying to rebound from his mistakes on lap 1.
He's doing a great job so far, as are a lot of these guys. Up, they're going. They almost went too wide into Indianapolis there, not quite though. A couple of battles throughout the pack, as with all these incidents, we've really seen it spread out a bit more. We got first and second right next to each other, and I believe teammates right next to each other right now as well. Oh, we got a bit of a wreck. Isaac Snyder and Morelli. I think Snyder and Morelli got together there. I don't know what happened there.
Looks like Morelli just spawned and just came back and crossed the head of Snyder. So actually some pretty heads-up driving. Was almost able to avoid that completely.
That was a bit of a send by Morelli, to say the least.
One more view off of Snyder. This is what he saw.
Yeah, Snyder actually did get into him there.
And a car just appears right in front of him. Was almost able to completely avoid damage, but that should be okay. Engines in the back.
And while the battle for third's heating up, Chris Hudson, I don't think he can hold off Cunningham for much longer. There he goes. Cunningham all the way up to the podium, I believe.
Yeah, I think this might be teammates working together. I think Carter's showing his pace. The teammate of Carter Cunningham, Chris Hudson, going to let him on by. Now, curious to see these pair can try to drive back up to Buchanan and Kurt Crum with only 2 laps to go.
He's not going to have Hudson to work with. Hudson with a slowdown penalty out of a final corner. He's going to lose a lot of spots. He's going to drop back to Edwards, Lamb, and Mickey, I believe. So those teammates got separated. I don't know if Cunningham can get up there, but if these two have been side by side throughout most of the corners, I think it's possible still.
Working through the Dunlop chicane, but again, our eyes go back up to the front. These two drivers having a really solid race. Zach Buchanan, we were talking about James Walker, almost did the hat trick. And Zandvoort was not able to get it done by this man. Zach Buchanan won last week, race 2 of the Porsche SuperCup at Zandvoort, and looking to potentially win race 1 here at Le Mans if he can get the job done. But it's going to be tough to beat Kurt Crum, and again, also both these guys fighting in the points.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't think he's close enough to even make a move into the first chicane here, but we know the runs they get are big. I don't think he's going to get there, though. We'll see what he does into the second chicane.
Oh, he's actually tacking out at 177 miles an hour. You can hear the rev limiter. He can't go any faster.
Gotta check the engine in that 87 machine, apparently.
Whoa, Kurt Crum tail slapper out of the chicane.
He's still got to drive it, that's for sure. Can't lay down at all. I think Buchanan might have a shot at him here.
That could be the opportunity here. Buchanan might be a little bit patient here, use this lap to set up a run. But here's a good opportunity.
He's gonna go to the left. Crum kind of ran the middle, made him choose, and Buchanan's gonna pretty much clear him into the chicane here. Kurt Crum stays on his right side, and he's gonna have to give the spot up and try to get back in line.
Seeing now if this is gonna last, or we're gonna see another swap of position. Both these drivers on their game here, as they got a lap and a half left to go for the first race of 2. And again, we got a second race lined up, same distance, 6 laps, 25 minutes for these drivers after this, and we'll see a top 16 invert. As Carter Cunningham just made it to the front of the field, he's looking like he might have to go back there if he continues to this top 3 run.
I know this is an interesting side note, but I like it. I like this track. You can be on your lid and not lose a lap. Your lid has 2 minutes off the pace, but I think he's still on the lead lap.
It's actually kind of impressive and does completely make sense. The grand scheme of things.
You know, we allow it here.
Whipped up got the backup car out, just ran to the pits.
I think they had the run to get a few parts, but they clearly got those parts. He's out there, he's 19th. I don't think he's going to make up any spots without more wrecks, but he got it back out there at least.
Yeah, I think he can kind of just hope for a lot of carnage to ensue. And the key thing is that top 16 invert only applies if you finish on the lead lap. So if he can hope for, let's see, 3 more guys to call it a day, at least in race 1, he can end up in your front.
Sorry, Buchanan had a bit of a mistake there. Kurt Crum's got to take advantage to the right side, dead even through here. It's going to be a costly mistake for Buchanan right now.
These guys just constantly drag racing side by side here down the public roads.
So I think someone's got a lift here. I don't know who it's gonna be though.
Oh, neither one wants to.
Neither of them.
On the brakes at the same exact time, Buchanan's going to have to yield a spot with from through the ideal line.
This is such a precise part of the track, and Cannon a bit wide there. He's gonna lose a bit of time. He's got to stay with Kurt Crum here to have a chance on this final lap.
And now going to ride the coattails of Kurt Crum, and I would say the 87's kind of a sitting duck depending on where Buchanan makes his move. But he's pretty much right there, just doesn't have to, just can't afford, neither judge can really afford to make a mistake here.
Yeah, especially we've seen a lot of slowdowns in this final chicane. We'll see if it happens here. I think both of them got through clean, coming to the white flag. I think Buchanan's in the best spot.
I think he is as well. White flag in the air there. You can see Carter Cunningham. He's going to be too far behind to make up anything more than third at the moment. You can see also in behind them, Edwards, Lamb, and Eric Mickey have caught up pretty close to Chris Hudson within striking distance of the 43, so that battle definitely not over yet as well.
Yeah, Cunningham's actually, he was faster than the top two, unless they get really side by side, really mix it up. He's got pretty much no shot, but anything's possible of how hard these two have been battling.
Absolutely. All it takes is one little mistake from either of these drivers, especially when they're battling so hard with each other here. Header Tetra Rouge. And down.
Kurt Crum went a bit wide there.
Yeah, we were talking about the slowdowns that bit him before he was able to recover. And he can't afford a mistake now.
Yeah, he got away with it there, but Buchanan's got the run either way. We'll see what line Kurt Crum makes him go. He's going to make him go right here. He's planted to the left side of the track. Buchanan's got nowhere else to go. There he goes.
And they go side by side down the straightaway. Again, these guys have been constantly going at it this entire race. Buchanan looks like he's going to win the corner for now. Now it's a matter of whoa, as he gets a little bit sideways, he's just absolutely hauling through there, trying to carry as much momentum onto the straight now. Will Kurt Crum respond? I think he will.
Yeah, meanwhile, the battle for fourth, Chris Hudson's got away. I think Mickey and Edwards Lamb got a bit mixed up after Edwards Lamb had a slowdown, but the battle is still for the win. Kurt Crum's got the run. Where is Buchanan going to force him? Buchanan's trying to get the better line through the corner. I don't think Crum's going to go for it yet. He's just sitting behind him.
Yeah, we got more straightaways to work with for both these drivers to head through the second chicane now.
Buchanan did not get the best of run there, but he was able to keep the lead. But I think Kurt Crum's going to be all over him here.
Kurt trying to have a peek here as they head down to Mulsanne corner. Looking almost like he might go to the left side of the track. Looks like he's going to peel back in behind.
He's just waiting at this point. He's just waiting. I think he might, maybe he'll do it after this turn. I don't know. It looks like he's just waiting for the perfect corner.
I think the run down here as they head out of Mulsanne corner. Next corner lined up is Indianapolis, and the run down to there. A lot of straightaway to work with. I think would be Kurt Crum's last ideal passing opportunity.
Well, we saw after Indianapolis, we saw Buchanan make that mistake and let Kurt Crum get back by. Maybe he thinks that's going to happen again. He's been good through that corner. He's got the run now. He's looking left here. I don't think he's going to go for it here, though. It's
going to be tough. He's going to be still on the outside of the corner. Is not established side by side with him. Buchanan going to send into the corner pretty deep. Can he slow the car down in time? A little wiggle out of the rear, but gets the car well down in time.
I think Crum's running out of time. I don't know what he's waiting for, but we'll see if Buchanan can get through this corner well this time. Yes, he does. Where's Kurt Crum going to make the move? Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he's thinking about the invert in some odd way, but he hasn't gone for the lead just yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think it'll be worth that much if he waits for the inverts. They're pretty much going to be starting on the same row with each other.
There we go. He's got the run.
They have enough time to make it. He's going to peel off to the left side of the track, side by side into the Porsche curves. They're opposite last lap through. The inside lane prevailed. Kurt Crum's still going to force it and can't quite get clear.
He couldn't hold it around, and look how much time he lost from trying to make the move there. I think he should have gone for the move earlier, but it might come back to bite him unless he can make something happen in the last couple of corners.
Here they come now, the run to the four chicanes. Really the last hope Kurt Crum has of making any sort of attempt at getting back to Zach Buchanan. He just got to navigate 4 more turns.
Yeah, he's probably not going to be happy with himself, Kurt Crum. He could have gone for the move earlier, probably. He tried to do it in another corner. He wasn't able to make it work, and he's not going to have enough time to get back to Buchanan. Buchanan wins.
Buchanan wins the Porsche SuperCup race 1 here at Le Mans. It's going to be Kurt Crum that'll settle for second place, rounding out the podium. Carter Cunningham, Chris Hudson able to hold off fourth. Kyle Edwards Lamb back in fifth. Eric Mickey in sixth with a notable gap between them. Not sure what happened between those two drivers. Ryan Plord seventh. Isaac Snyder eighth. Drew Eisenman is still fighting with Morelli for that ninth spot. Almost making contact. I think a little bit of contact. And Morelli going to cut the final corner. He's got to slow down and give that up. Otherwise, it's a time penalty at the end.
He didn't slow down that much. He's got a long ways back to Pagula, who's going to round out the rest of the field. Pagula was in a battle with Ryan Daner for 11th. Pagula was able to come out on top in that final lap. Daner 12th. Thomas Cooper 13th. Andrew Mickey all the way back to 14th. Not a great race for him, but he'll get the better of the invert, I suppose. Sabelski back there as well. And also Sean Unterkoffler, who is going to be on pole, I believe.
Here for Zach Buchanan, race 1 winner for the 40 machine. Excellent job done by Buchanan to defend off Kurt Crum. It's going to be far from over still for these drivers, as we're going to be lining up for race number 2. But before we do that, let's quickly go. We'll just take another look again at your race results. Man, that was action-packed, I gotta say.
There's a lot of interesting points there. Great race for the win, too.
Yeah, again, you can see Zach Buchanan taking his second win in a row for the 40 machine, so starting to build up some momentum on a solid roll for championship points. Then we got Kurt Crum, Carter Cunningham still in behind me. Still got a few guys still actually working around the track yet to finish, so this still could change a little bit. But with the second page of drivers looking on down, looking at Sean Unterkoffler, and man, this is a pretty disappointing run for that 9. He seems to have the pace, just making too many mistakes.
Yeah, he's going to have to really take advantage of the invert he's got here and he's probably going to have to really go for a win, as he's probably going to be first on the invert. And hey, everyone's finished now. Drew Lidkit just crossed the line.
Finally, after waiting 2 minutes for him to come back across. All right, so we got a bit of a warm-up period to work with here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We'll just take a little bit of a breather and then be back for a race number 2. Don't go anywhere. All right, and welcome back live here for Porsche SuperCup. SCRS for almost said SCRS Ferrari Porsche Cup. The SCRS Porsche SuperCup. These guys getting ready to start their second race at Le Mans. We saw two interesting races already with the AM Cup race and Porsche SuperCup race 1. Now getting ready for race 2, and those were very entertaining, Connor, and especially with the grid and invert. I don't think we needed this race to be any more entertaining. I think we're going to start losing track of stuff really quickly.
Yeah, we're probably going to lose a couple cars and a couple crashes. I'm wanting to see who's going to wreck it before they even get to the green. There's been crashes in the final chicane, both races, so I kind of expect nothing different here, but I guess anything's possible. My pick, I know we haven't really been picking drivers to win, but I think Carter Cunningham's got the best shot at winning right now. He was able to get all the way to third from starting dead last. I think he's got the best shot being ahead of Buchanan and Crum right now.
Yeah, one thing I think too is that he's got some solid experience, working up through the order at least a little bit. Compared to some of the other guys, you're going to be pretty much back there for the first time. And it's going to be a little bit of management working your way up through the order. And that's where I think, again, it's going to be a little bit concerning because we have a chance of seeing a few incidents, especially with guys being too greedy down the Mulsanne Straight heading into the chicanes. I think is where we might see quite a few accidents with guys being a little bit too aggressive But you see the weather there popping up on screen, pretty much the same as it was the entire the entirety of the first two races we've had. So don't expect to see too many changes on the driving and the way it's going to play out on track, other than the leaders being put all the way back 16.
Yeah, if anything, the track's just gonna keep cooling down a little bit. It's a bit later in the day, not too much later, but I guess it's about 9:30. So the sun's pretty much setting. It might fully set, not quite sure, but it's definitely gonna be an interesting race, regardless of what the weather is.
It is warm-up completes here. We're going to get ready to set the grid here for Super Cup Race 2. And notably, Kyle Edwards-Lamb not able to make race number 3, unfortunately, considering the pace that he's shown. But hopefully everything's okay, that he had to quickly leave for Kyle, and hope to see him back in later weeks. So again, really solid driver and has got some solid pace to mix it up in the front. Speaking of which, leading on pole will be Eric Brown and Sean Unterkoffler. And for Unterkoffler, I think this race, he needs to redeem himself. First races have not gone his way at all, and really just due to himself making quite a few errors. And he's going to be lining up on the front row. What do you think for him? What do you think he needs to do differently?
He needs to really be conservative going through some of these corners. Conservative with pretty much all of the moves he's got to make here. He's got to keep his car on the track, not fall too far back. I think he definitely needs a top 3 finish at least. I think you definitely prefer a win, but he's definitely got to stay up there. But yeah, as long as he keeps everything in check, he should be fine here. Same thing for like Andrew Mickey, who was running at the front at one point. He really needs to get something going here too.
Yeah, Mickey going to be lining up in 4th place, and Andrew Mickey, known in this league and series for being a hard driver to pass, essentially is the Ryan Newman of this series for stock car fans. Very good at keeping guys in behind. It's pretty hard to do at a track like this, considering how wide the straights are and how long they are. You get a pretty good slipstream. It's pretty hard to defend from that, but I still think might manage to do well nonetheless. He's did some decent defending earlier on in this race. Looking for some other notables through the order. Isaac Snyder, another driver we think has a lot of potential, just hasn't been truly up there at the moment. It's pretty much in the middle of the invert, back in P9. And then obviously our leaders, Kurt Crum and Zach Buchanan, 15th and 16th respectively.
Interested to see how many slowdown penalties we get on this very first lap. We saw like 3 or 4 in the first race. The second race, hopefully we see less. I think we'll see less. We might see more.
We might have a chance of seeing more. You can hear the jets as they fly overhead for the final time this week. And I gotta say, wasn't entirely sure how this race is gonna play out for these cars and this group of drivers, but needless to say, it's been a fantastic event. Can't wait to start this final race, because it's gonna be, I think, the most entertaining of the 3.
See, they're coming through the final corners. I'm willing to bet there's at least some sort of incident in the final chicane coming to the green here.
I almost don't want to leave the camera I have in the Ford chicanes just to see what's going to go down. I think I might do that actually here as we come to the start. Pace car going to keep on going straight. The rest of the drivers working through the final set of chicanes, and here we go. Green back in the air here at Le Mans.
And it actually looks like, yep, this is the time everyone gets through. A bit slow at the very back, but everyone's through safe, and Eric Brown is set for the lead.
And Chabelski in behind as well as the field rolls through Dunlop curb and into the chicane for the first time. Oh!
Eric Brown completely missed it. Second, third, and fourth also missed it. He wasn't even close to making that corner as he goes around.
And this is Sean Unterkoffler in the lead. Look at these guys, almost look like they're pacing as they're coming up through the S's now. And side by side for the lead between Chabelski and Unterkoffler.
Unterkoffler really sent it in. In fact, he sent it in a bit too far, but he's going to stay on the track.
Oh,
but he's going to be beaten up by Brian Sabelski, all stacked up at the front. Nicholas
Isaac Snyder sideways in the background. He's going to spin off the track, keep it out of the way. Brian Chabelski going to go a little bit wide as he tries to put it back in the track. Oh, boy.
Sabelski gets the lead out of all that. They're side by side for second. Who's going to get the run for the lead? Is it going to be Unterkoffler or is it going to be Nicholas Morelli?
Look at the run down through Mulsanne. It's a traffic jam with everyone so close together within a second or two of each other is the entire pack.
I think I only saw one time penalty. Drew Eisenman was the only one who got a penalty. They are all over each other, almost banging doors for the race lead. Morelli sends it in. Oh, no! Unterkoffler completely misses the chicane. He's got to go through the barriers, and he couldn't do it.
I think I saw Benjamin Pagula as well who ditched through the tire barriers. He's going to come out way down the order. And for Hunter Kuffler, he's going to bin into the barriers and be back in 18th.
We're going to have to look at turn 1 again at some point. Pagula got a time penalty. As they're still racing so hard at the front.
Yeah,
they're trying to get by Eric Mickey right now for position. Thomas Cooper, Andrew Mickey side by side. I think Sabelski might have locked up into a second chicane, but he keeps his car under control. I don't think I've ever seen someone miss a corner so badly. That was unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah, looking at Plord and Cooper here racing for 4th place. Where are our notable drivers? Kirk Crum up into 9th place. Zach Buchanan up into 12th as they're trying to navigate their way through this giant pack of cars. And it looks like it's going to be Morelli that gets himself in the front. Remember, won the AM race earlier in the night. Looking to take 2 wins tonight if he can hold on.
Bit of contact. Thomas Cooper spun around. I think Mickey got him back to Florida. Almost a big mess again. They are so stacked up. There really hasn't been any spreading out so far. They're all on top of each other.
Yeah, I think it's with the slower guys in the front. They're holding up the fast guys in the back, and everyone again with the slipstream equalizing everyone out. It's pretty entertaining to say the least. Here comes Eric Mickey now, looking to make a move on Plord as they head down towards Indianapolis.
And right now the top 2 are just gone, and everyone else is trying to sort it out from Plord on back. Mickey with a big send there.
Oh!
Bit of banging doors with Cunningham and Ryan Plord as they're still side by side.
Oh, and Andrew Mickey going to go wide off in Indianapolis, going to drop down the order after running up in the top 5. Ball back through as the rest still working through that complex of corners. Slowly but surely.
Let's see, Mick Blue battling with Zach Buchanan. Blue didn't get a good run. Buchanan might have the run on him. He's still trying to make his way up. He's got a lot of work to get the Cunningham. Cunningham really making inroads on the rest of the pack as Eric, the top 3 are really clear of the big pack.
Oh,
really,
and look at Cunningham and Kirk Crum side by side in the Porsche curves. Kirk Crum going to go a little bit wide, able to slow the car down. And Plord still fighting with the 0-2 Cunningham for position.
He couldn't hold him off for too long, but he did a good job trying as he goes wide in the next corner. Kirk Crum, he needs to find a way by soon. Cunningham's going to be gone, I believe.
And he can't let that 0-2 out of his sights. Cunningham is showing some really promising pace by the end of race 1. Again, just didn't have the starting position to work with to get up to the front. Otherwise, he very much could have been the winner of the race. Whoa, is that Cunningham slowing down?
That's Cunningham slowing down.
Oh no.
Got a big slowdown, and pretty much there goes everything he was working on. He still comes out ahead of Zach Buchanan, but now he loses a lot of time to Kirk Crum, and now it's who's that?
Oh, and Eric Mickey's got to slow down as well. Oh, slowdowns have definitely not stopped or gone away. As I see for position, Kirk Crum and Ryan Plord racing for spot 3 wide with Chabelski for a second through Dunlop curve.
Chabelski must have gotten a slowdown as well.
Oh, Kirk Crum around!
Oh my goodness! Kirk Crum just kind of oversent it there. He got on the curb and he couldn't brake. He just spun himself out basically. I don't know what happened to Sabelski. I think he might have hit someone or something.
I don't know if he's being generous or not, but here you see Kirk Crum. He's trying to slow down on the curbs. Didn't work. Not enough grip to slow down around. He went back into 14th.
Sabelski didn't hit anyone either. That damage was from that the curb in the final chicane. He hit the curb way too hard. Camera
turns back around to the front of the car. Yeah, you can see to that left front. That's kind of impressive how much damage he gave to that vehicle.
You know what else is impressive? Look at the lead Nicholas Morelli has.
Yeah, 5 seconds to second place.
Wow. And they're battling for second, too.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's all over yet. Remember, Carter Cunningham he's actually looking at getting back ahead of this group here, as it looks like Hudson's going to make a mistake in the first chicane. The first 2 drivers mess up. Here comes Cunningham trying to bounce back.
He's really got nowhere to go. He's going to go to the right side of Plord, but he's pretty much boxed in. These guys are so stacked up. Nicholas Morelli has to know to be patient. He doesn't have to overdrive it at all. If he just stays on the track, he has a good shot here. As we got a bit of bump drafting going on. I don't think you can lock bumpers here at Le Mans, but I think it's all right.
He's managed to do it. I'm amazed he managed to pull it up, bump drafting down the Mulsanne Straight.
Plord really sent it in, but it worked. Cunningham are able to clear Chris Hudson there for the 3rd spot, as those 2 are going to clear Chris Hudson, as the next one to have a shot at him is Zach Buchanan or Eric Mickey. They're side by side behind him with nowhere to go.
Yeah, nowhere to go as he's boxed in. Now going to have barely a look as Hudson immediately switches lanes in front of Mickey. That was an aggressive move from the 43 machine as these guys race down to Mulsanne corner. Still intense battling between these guys for the top few spots.
Oh, and Chris Hudson really laid on the brake to try to get by Buchanan, which he does. They single file out yet again, spread out a little bit. And not much battling side by side here. Kurt Crumb's actually back battling with Drew Lidke right now as they're trying to spread out a little bit. Oh, Thomas Cooper's gone off the track. And I think he was able to keep it off of drivers, but wow, this is somehow even still more action-packed than the first race.
Yeah, and again, that invert works its miracles, making these races interesting to watch, and especially, too, it's not over yet. Morelli had quite a bit of a lead. It's dropped down to 4.7 seconds and still continues to drop as Plord and company are chasing him down.
Yeah, Plord's catching, but obviously if Carter Cunningham gets by him, Cunningham is going to catch even faster, so Plord somehow has to keep that 0-2 behind him for as long as he's catching up.
You can see the gap as the 095 works past the screen, and then a 5-car pack from second to sixth place. You see Eric Mickey and Jack Buchanan side by side.
Here's Cunningham with the run for second on Plord. I don't know if Plord can defend it. He's giving the 0-2 the right side here, as we saw. It was so strong contact!
No! And Carter Cunningham gonna go around, into the Porsche curves, and that's gonna really hurt his run.
Yeah, I think he expected Plord to give him more room, but Plord held his line, and Cunningham wasn't expecting it, and he's gone on the wrong end of that one. And that's pretty much his race for the win over, and it just helps Morelli even more.
And here's a look at the replay with Carter Cunningham getting spun out and around into the gravel track. Luckily, he's able to roll out of it, and he's actually found himself back with Andrew Mickey as they fight for 11th.
Yeah, a bit of an awkward, they kind of both went for the same lane there. It's unfortunate that had to happen, but seems like not the end of a world for Cunningham, but he's still got a lot of work left to go here.
Yeah, now for Ryan Plord, he's going to have to try to drive himself back up to Morelli. I thought it would have been Cunningham that would have been making that charge. They actually lost even more time. They made some good time up, but I think that contact slowed both these cars down.
Mickey really trying to cut those curbs there. He might be able to make it work. He's all over the back of Chris Hudson now.
Here's see if he can get around Chris Hudson or if he's going to continue to hold up Eric Mickey. They're all still chasing down Ryan Plord and then Morelli up in front. And for Morelli, you were saying it earlier, for him, it's a matter of not making a mistake.
Yeah, as long as he just keeps his tires cool, he might be fine, but trying to see what that lead is at right now. It seems like it's shrunk really fast all of a sudden here, but down this straight here, it might help that Ryan Plord's got that right side damage now from the banging doors with Cunningham, and we'll see what the people behind him can do, as now they're side by side for that third position, Chris Hudson and Eric Mickey.
And ooh, and a bit of a flash from Chris Hudson. Ooh. He's still going to be there, still side by side. They're losing up a lot of time like this. Hudson gets sideways, and Buchanan almost gets into him, but barely avoids.
Yeah, that really hurt Buchanan as well. They were all going to have a run on Chris Hudson, but Hudson almost lost it. He has it checked up, and a bit of a time loss for Buchanan, but he's looking okay. Trying to get to the left side of him, but he doesn't have the draft to do it.
Adding down to the second chicane. You can see how much the draft matters, as Hudson would have the draft off of Mickey, while Zach Buchanan didn't really have anything. Going to peel back out wide again. Can't get to the inside as Plord has a major lockup, and around goes Eric Mickey.
I don't know what happened there. I think he was swerving to avoid Ryan Plord, and he kind of just put himself into a gravel trap. He almost took out Plord, which really would have sealed the deal for Morelli there.
They're riding on board with Eric Mickey. This is heading to the second chicane. Plord just slowed him way too much, and Mickey was trying to make sure to not get into him and ended up locking up the rear brakes, and around he went.
It was a good job not running into Plord, though. He did a good job avoiding an even bigger incident.
And a lot of mistakes from our front runners, putting many of them back. You're saying?
I just saw that Plord almost got loose out of that right-hander. He almost made another mistake. He's still got to get away from Hudson to Buchanan. I think those two are a little bit faster than him, especially Buchanan, but it's all about making the pass. If one of these two makes the pass on Plord, I think they're going to really just be all over Morelli. Beautiful run here as the sun sets in Le Mans, France. Here as these guys work through Indianapolis. There you see side by side with Buchanan and Hudson. Buchanan trying to work around the outside. Now it's going to switch back to the inside through the next corner. He did a good job staying around the outside there, and he's going to have the preferred line here. He might not be able to make moves stick. Nope, Hudson got a bad run. Buchanan up in the fourth, or third, actually.
Now, it doesn't matter for Buchanan to chase down Plord. I think at this point, Morelli might be out of the question here.
I think they might have caught him a little bit here. I think they still caught him a little bit, but they have to catch a lot in the next.
Yeah, they need to start making up seconds here as the races are winding down. So they can't afford to really, they can't afford to just chop off tenths and use chop off seconds a lap, which is fairly doable here to see the lights come on.
I can't imagine the thing that's really killing the 74 as the lights on the cars go on as well. He has a lot of that right front damage. It's really all the time he might be making up down the straights. Well, he might be even with him down the straights depending on the run he gets out, but that damage is really killing him down the straights. He's definitely not hitting top speed, and it's definitely really hurting him right now.
Through the Ford chicane, just here Morelli zoom on by 4.7 seconds between himself and Ryan Plord.
He ran a 404.8 there. Plord actually ran a 404.3, so even with all that stuff going on, half a second faster, but half a second isn't going to be enough. It's going to have to be about a second or more a lap at this point. Absolutely
here, and it's looking more and more likely that Morelli's going to potentially walk away with this unless he makes a major mistake. Again, not out of the question because we've seen a lot of guys make a mistake here tonight, and I don't think Morelli's really the exception to that rule. But if anything, he hasn't really made a mistake from what I've seen.
If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if he's really just kind of coasting out there, keeping all four tires on the track.
As you say that, he ran pretty wide in Rouge on the run down to onto the Mulsanne Straight, and we've seen time and time again many guys get bopped for going too wide on the track. Looks like he's still accelerating, so I think he's fine.
Yeah, just trying to see the battle for second, see if it heats up there. With that damage, I think Buchanan's going to have the big run on him. I don't know if he has a big enough run to get him here, though. To see second and third kind of next to each other. Chris Hudson a bit back. And that Drew Eisenman, who's actually gotten up to P5 from starting 8th, leading a bit of a pack. Mick Blue, Kurt Crum, Carter Cunningham in there as well. Zabelski, a couple others there.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about many of the other guys further back because there's been so much drama up in front. Speaking of which, the drama continues. I just saw Ryan Shabelski have a bit of a lockup through the first chicane. He's going to get back rolling. Eric Mickey in behind him.
Meanwhile, it's Zach Buchanan getting up to P2, so we'll see now how fast he can catch the 0.95 of Morelli, as now he's probably the fastest car on the track right now. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah, he's got about 2.5 laps left to go. Muscles on through, and you see how much time he made up in the chicane alone in comparison to Plord and Hudson, who got held up, so he's starting to break away from those two guys in behind.
I'm just watching a battle between two of the much faster guys, but they're not going to be battling for the win. Kurt Crum and Carter Cunningham are battling with each other right now. I believe that's, I don't know what position that's for. I think it's for 6th. Kurt Crum's got it now. Carter Cunningham wants it.
And I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to be beating themselves up about a chance of taking the win away. Whoa, as you see Eisman run a little bit wide in out of Mulsanne corner, and we're going to see 3 wide down the straightaway here. Carter Cunningham with the run to the inside. Kurt Crummel's trying to follow on as well.
Good corner for the 0-2, but an even better run for the 87. He might be able to get 2 for 1 here. Kurt Crum's got the run. Can he clear the 0-2 of Cunningham? I think he might be able to here, unless Carter really sends it here.
Going to be difficult here for these guys to get slowed down while also rotating through the corner without making contact to give each other just enough room. Managed to make it on as Kurt Crum will get the spot.
And meanwhile, we were watching all that. Buchanan had some sort of penalty. I think he cut that right-hander and he lost 2nd and 3rd. Man. And now they're battling for 2nd again. Chris Hudson going for the position now. They just can't decide who wants to chase down Nick Morelli.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to at this point. Everyone has made a mistake that's come up into the top 2 or 3 positions and behind him has faced some sort of disaster or the other. Speaking of which, through the Porsche curves we go, almost 3 wide through there for a second.
Oh, this is a tight corner. They still made it work. Just barely contact's going to be made.
Oh, and Zach Buchanan around hard into the concrete. That might be race over for the 40 here. We'll see if he can try to get back rolling, but man.
I keep saying, I think I've said it already before, that might seal the deal for Morelli. Buchanan can't even get going yet. I think he's just going to reset and he's going to be done.
Contact and right in front of the camera slams into the wall. Alright, we get another view on board of that as well. Everyone, this is a really tight, complex corner, not really known as passing opportunity, and again, it just gets tapped by Plord, and around he goes.
Yeah, Buchanan kind of just turned in on him. He said over the radio, he thinks it was more on him. I believe that's what he said, though. Just a bit too optimistic, trying to really pinch him down to that corner. And meanwhile, on all that, Chris Hudson actually lost about a second to Nick Morelli. He needs to gain, I think, about 2.7 seconds over the next 2 laps. I think it's wishful thinking, but you never know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit too much for these guys here as we come with 2 laps to go. In behind, Kirk Crum and Carter Cunningham are still battling it out, trying to potentially chase down Ryan Plord, who's 2 seconds up the road.
These two, even though they had their incidents, but they're still right next to each other. They're trying to make any sort of grounds they can, but it's the best they're going to get is a shot at a podium.
There you see Kirk Crum in behind. Was he going to give a bump draft? No, just going to sit in behind. I think he might be serving a penalty. It kind of looked like he was a little bit slow off of the run onto the Mulsanne Straight.
Here you go. We really hopped the curb there. He's going to lose some time out.
Take a look at some other drivers as well, since we got a bit of a break in the action. Drew Lidke, it's not been his particular race. He looks like he's actually peeling off. Might have another slowdown for him. Shabelski going to work around him as well. And Shabelski looking at like he had a really solid shot of winning this race.
Yeah, he had a shot. I think he had at least one slowdown. He had the incident. He really hit the curb way too hard. He just kind of cost himself way too much time. Lidke's going to actually go back at him into this chicane. They're side by side. I believe it's for 9th.
Lidke will win that bout for 9th place. Back up ahead for 4th place, Carter Cunningham and Kirk Crum continuing their spat.
They are catching Ryan Plord. I think they'll get into his draft at least.
Yeah, the key thing is if they don't battle, I think they might be able to. I'm curious to see if they're more worried about each other than trying to get 3rd place, which very much could be the case.
As long as they don't battle in the corners. If they're swapping down the straights, I think that's fine. I don't think Crum's gonna go at him here.
Nice long run down to Indianapolis. I would say probably the most attrition-filled, one of the most attrition-filled corners of this race, the races we've had tonight. On the braking zone for both these guys, and you can see Crum really maximize the braking up to the bumper of the 0-2, and that's a really risky move.
Yeah, very risky. You can't really get too close to these guys because you never know when they're going to jam on the brakes. The best battle right now is still Sabelski and Lidke because they're not really swapping to get closer to another car. They're just kind of battling for their position. The battle for P9's on. Sabelski might be able to pull away here with a good exit.
I didn't quite get the best exit. It might be decent enough to at least keep Lidke in behind by the time they get to the Porsche curves. The run that Lidke has, but soon they're going to start braking. Lidke up. He's going to have a little bit of a look. Not quite enough.
Yeah, we already saw drama in these sets of corners. I don't think he wants to be a part of that.
Definitely don't think so. As we look back to Kirk Crum and Carter Cunningham. Cunningham going way wide, coming back towards the Ford chicanes. Kirk Crum with the run. Nowhere to go, though. This is really a tight section. If you're talking about the Porsche curves, this is really where you have to be careful.
They're being as careful as can be, but they're also going as fast as they can go because they are making inroads on 2nd and 3rd. Hudson and Plord, they're getting a bit closer to. I don't think they have a chance at Plord, but Cunningham really hopped the curb badly there. Kirk Crum's all over him.
White flag in the air for Nicholas Morelli. He just has to make it back one more circuit, 4 more minutes, and he will take another checkered flag here tonight.
He might not have expected to be here at the end of all of these, especially in this race. It's probably going to be the longest 4 minutes of the night for him. He's done a really great job, though, just keeping his car clean after he got through all the carnage, especially after seeing the leader miss the first corner. He was able to keep the car under him, and so far, as long as he keeps the car under him for a couple more minutes, he's had a great drive, and he's going to have a great win.
Yeah, looking back at Ryan Plord, who's now got a more and more mirror full of both Carter Cunningham and Kurt Crum. They're pretty much within his draft, half a second back, so he's now under attack. You see Carter Cunningham flashing the headlights saying, "Hey, I'm coming for you."
I don't know if he's going to have him in this first chicane here, but he's definitely going to have at least one look at him to go for the next position here.
Here Carter Cunningham attacking out at the straight, trying to build up a run on Plord. Going to peel back left to get a great run in. He might be too hot.
I think Plord just really went very soft on the brakes there, and it almost caused the catastrophe. But Cunningham still had arguably the better exit than Plord. I think he's going to have him right here.
Yeah, he's now set up for a really good run entering the second chicane now as Plord went really wide on exit. Here he goes. Carter Cunningham now side by side to the right side of Plord.
Where's Kurt Crum going to go? I think he's just got to wait it out, I guess.
Yeah, you can't do 3 wide in some of these corners. This is definitely one of them. And it looks like Plord's going to back off a little bit to at least let Cunningham on by. He's going to slot himself in front of Kurt Crum. Going to slide through there and going to go sliding off the track as Kurt Crum will snake his way on through to 4th.
He did a good job not spinning out and losing even more spots, but the podium's definitely gone, and all he's got to do right now is hang on for a top 5. I don't think he can get back up there.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's going to be tough again. Both these cars, Cunningham and Crum, really fast. It's just the consistency that's not let them up to the top spot. We're halfway through the final lap.
Hudson just hanging on, not Hudson just hanging on, Morelli's just hanging on right now. He was a second slower than Chris Hudson last lap. If those guys could have just sorted themselves out for a second, they could have made it up on him, but they just didn't feel like doing it, and they pretty much let Nicholas Morelli walk here, but still a really great job by Morelli regardless of what happened.
Yeah, I think for Morelli, he's actually just kind of taking it a little bit easy, too. I imagine he's shedding off quite a bit of time, a little bit more than usual. You see the rest of the field. Ooh, and look at Carter Cunningham is deep under the brakes trying to get past his teammate for second place.
If he can get back to second, if he could get back to second here, it'd be such a great drive. He pretty much wrecked, and he might still get an easy podium. He probably could have easily won this.
Now looking off the back of Chris Hudson again for second place. Cunningham with the run. I don't know where he's going to go with it. Again, this is his teammate that he's fighting with, but I'm not sure if he cares at this point.
The corner he wrecked in, I believe. He's not going to go to the right. He's going to go to the left this time. They're going to be side by side. With the 43 out, breaks, and Kurt Crum goes for it. A bit of a crossover by Cunningham on Chris Hudson. They're going to be side by side through this one. We've seen this go bad before. The 43 is going to try to shut the door. Yes, he does.
Kurt Crum sitting in behind trying to time. Where does he make a move in all this? I don't really think he can.
Yeah, but he's got nowhere to go except just right behind him. But the only place Nicholas Morelli's going is the victory lane.
Absolutely. He comes flying on through, entering now into the 4 chicanes. You can see the battle off behind him for Nicholas Morelli. Great run for him, but in behind, watching the turmoil unfold. Looks like we're going to make it through okay for these guys in behind.
And here comes out of final corner. Nicholas Morelli's going to win it. The battle for second is still on. Chris Hudson's going to hang on. Cunningham third, rounds out the podium, and Lord, going to get Kurt Crum for 4th.
Wow, and Kurt Crum, I think, had to slow down at the line to give up some time. I think cut a corner. Lord going to snake his way through by 1/10 of a second to take away fourth place.
And all the way back there, it's Drew Eisman who's going to come home 6th. Eric Mickey 7th. Mick Blue 8th. Brian Sabelski's going to come home 9th. And Drew Lidkia is going to round out the top 10.
Absolutely, and a solid job by our drivers here. Especially for Morelli to get another win tonight. And 2 wins, 1 in the AM race and 1 now in the Super Cup race, race 2. Alright, don't go anywhere. We're going to quickly grab some drivers' material and we'll be right back. All right, we're back live here with Zach Buchanan. Zach, unfortunately, race 2 I don't think went quite as well as you would have hoped. It was looking good there for a second, but on the bright side, at least you won race number 1.
Yeah, I'm glad I won the first race. I mean, it's my favorite. Le Mans is my absolute favorite track, and I always perform well here. So I'm glad I brought that one home after an amazing race with Kurt. But in that second race, I just had to deal with traffic, and I got impatient and spun myself across Ryan's nose. So I can't really be upset at anyone because it's kind of my own fault. But what can you do sometimes?
Yeah, it really is. It does come down to things like that at some points. But Zach, looking at, obviously it's still pretty early in the season, but I mean, you got to have the championship in picture. You're fighting with Kurt Krum. It's currently gone in his favor for the most part. How do you plan on swinging it back around?
I'm hoping to work on consistency going forward because I know I can bring home those really good finishes, but as it's clear in race 2, I need to work on keeping the car on track sometimes because that can be my downfall sometimes. But yeah, it's going to be hard. Kurt's going to make it hard to keep up with him this season.
Absolutely. Well, Zach, thanks for talking to us and good luck for you in the rest of the season. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, and with that, that's gonna wrap up interviews. I would like to touch more drivers, but I gotta zoom to another race that I gotta do. So, yeah, no, Connor, I think that was a pretty good race. I'm gonna have to cut you off short because I really do have to go. But that was the Porsche SuperCup race here at Le Mans. It was a fantastic race to watch, and I think, really, Connor, if you do have any final words, go ahead.
Really fun to watch. I liked watching all the strategy going down the straightaways, the huge dive bombs. There's a lot of beating and banging, especially in that last race. And we saw a bit of a surprise finish for a surprise win from Early. He did a really good job keeping the car clean. It was a great day for him.
All right, my name is Finny Kuna here with Connor Horn, or SimTV, and we're going to be signing out for tonight. Thank you for watching.